My name is Alina Wren. I'm 25 years old and everything I'm about to tell you is true. It's a story about trust broken by the ones closest to me, my sister and the man I thought I married. This isn't just a tale of heartbreak. It's about lies, obsession, and revenge so cold it shook the very core of who I was. I didn't plan to destroy my own family, but they made that choice for me. Please subscribe, like, and share this story to help more people understand what betrayal really looks like behind closed doors. This story is written and edited by Life Side Diaries. 3 years ago, I was the happiest I'd ever been. I lived in the Wren family estate just outside Savannah, Georgia, where the moss hung low and secrets clung tighter. Then the summer heat, I was engaged to Caleb Dorn, a man I'd loved since college. My world was slow, quiet, beautiful, almost cinematic. My parents adored him. I trusted him with my whole heart, and I trusted Sierra, my sister. She was younger than me by 2 years, wilder, the kind of girl who lit up rooms and wrecked lives without trying. We were close growing up. She called me her protector, but something shifted when I got engaged. She started showing up in my mirror, in my phone photos, in Caleb's conversations. "You're imagining it," he'd say, kissing my forehead. "Sierra's just lonely." My mother told me, but I wasn't imagining it. One night I walked into the study and found her curled on Caleb's lap, whispering into his ear. She jumped like I'd slapped her. Caleb stood and told me it was nothing, like I was supposed to ignore the way his shirt was unbuttoned and her lipstick was smeared across his neck. That night, I didn't scream, I didn't throw things, I simply walked into the guest room and packed a bag. But before I could leave, I got a call. My father had died. Heart attack sudden in his office. No goodbye. The next few weeks were chaos. Funeral arrangements, inheritance meetings, family tension. I wanted to grieve, but my pain became background noise to Sierra's performance. She cried the loudest, hugged the longest, took charge of every decision like she was the eldest daughter now. Then came the will. Dad had left the estate to me, everything, the house, the land, the shares in the family business. Sierra went pale. Caleb gripped her hand under the table. I saw it, the flicker. Guilt. That's when I realized they hadn't just betrayed me. They had planned this. It wasn't just lust, it was a setup to take everything. Dad must have sensed something. Maybe he knew Caleb was using me. Maybe he didn't trust Sierra to handle it all. Either way, his decision burned them alive, and suddenly Sierra wanted to talk. She called me the next night, voice trembling, asking if we could reset. I agreed to meet her at the dock behind the estate, our childhood hideout. I wore black, brought nothing. I didn't plan to forgive Harry, planned to listen. She cried, apologized, swore Caleb was just a mistake, that it started after my engagement, that she didn't mean for it to go that far. I asked her one question. Did Dad know? She blinked, paused, then whispered, yes. And that's when I knew they didn't just break my heart, they killed him. He found out, it shattered him, and now I was holding the only leverage. They didn't steal the truth. I left the dock that night with a plan, not to confront them, not to expose them, but to ruin them from the inside out. Caleb wouldn't know who to trust. Sierra wouldn't know when to breathe, and by the time I was done, if they'd wish they'd never met me. After the night at the dock, I became someone else, quiet, watchful, controlled. Grief cloaked me in silence, but underneath that was the slow build of something more potent than anger. Strategy. I didn't scream, I didn't lash out. I watched every lie Sierra told, every glance Caleb gave her when he thought I wasn't looking. I logged it all like a surgeon preparing for the first incision. They believed they'd fooled me, that my father's death had broken something fragile in me. Sierra even hugged me tighter at the funeral reception, whispering, "We're all we have now." Her voice cracked so perfectly, even my mother was fooled. But I saw the twitch in her fingers, the guilt, or maybe the fear of what she thought I'd do. I didn't cry. Instead, I moved back into the estate. They weren't expecting that I told them I wanted to stay close to Mom, that I couldn't imagine being anywhere else. Truth was, I wanted to be close to them, to their guilt, to their games, to their lies. The house knew them. The walls held memories they couldn't erase, and I was about to carve new ones into every floorboard. It began slowly. I asked Caleb to move in, said I couldn't bear to sleep alone after losing Dad. His eyes flickered with discomfort, but he agreed. Of course, he said, whatever you need. He thought I was crumbling. He had no idea I was stacking every brick of his downfall. The first thing I did was install cameras. Discreetly, my father had a security system with unused ports. I used those, one in the hallway, one in the study, one cleverly hidden facing the parlor where Caleb and Sierra often whispered when they thought no one was watching. 3 nights later, I caught them. He kissed her neck. She moaned and said, she has no clue. I uploaded the footage, saved it on multiple drives, sent one copy to my private email with the subject line, insurance in case they try to bury me too. Next, I began planting Ideas. I told Caleb I wanted to update the business, that Dad had left behind some paperwork he never filed. I asked him for help sorting through it. He seemed eager. I left him in the library with forged documents, papers that hinted my father had been rewriting his will again to remove Caleb from any influence at all. He swallowed it whole 2 days later. I saw him arguing with Sierra on the back lawn. I didn't need audio to know what they were saying. Her face was panic, his was rage. They were unraveling good. Then came the dinner I invited them both cooked. My father's favorite meal lit candles played his old records. I sat across from them at the long mahogany table dressed in black. My hair perfectly pinned, my lipstick the same deep crimson I wore the night Caleb proposed. We talked like strangers. I told stories about childhood, about how Dad taught me chess and warned me about people who smiled too much. Sierra smiled too much. Caleb stayed silent halfway through the meal. I stood and lifted my wine glass to blood. I said, the kind that binds and the kind that stains. Sierra's fingers tightened around her fork. I saw it. Fear blooming. It thrilled me. That night I slipped a flash drive into Caleb's laptop while he slept beside me. He hadn't touched me in weeks, but he still pretended to be devoted. The drive contained copies of emails between him and a fake investor I created, someone promising to buy out my father's company and put Caleb in charge. By morning, Caleb was already planning his escape, exactly what I wanted, because you see, I'd also emailed the same files to a real lawyer, the one who managed my father's estate. I told him I suspected embezzlement. I made it look like Caleb had been forging deals behind my back. Within 48 hours, Caleb was disqualified from any claim on the business. He lost his influence, his access, his title. I didn't confront him. I just watched as he packed his bags, muttering about needing space. He left the estate without even saying goodbye to Sierra. She came to me crying, sobbing. Why is everything falling apart? She asked, mascara streaking down her face. I hugged her, held her, whispered, it's not falling apart, Sierra. It's falling into place. I kissed her cheek. She never even saw the needle coming, the one I dipped into the old sleeping meds. Dad used to take the same ones that in a high enough dose don't kill but reveal. She passed out in under 10 minutes, and when she woke up, she was tied to the same dock where she had lied to me, only this time she wasn't whispering confessions. She was screaming, and I was the one who had the camera. Sierra's screams didn't echo far from the lake dock. That was the beauty of our family's estate. It was too far from neighbors, surrounded by thick Georgia trees with old fencing high enough to keep the past locked in. Just like she tried to do with my father's truth, with Caleb's guilt, with everything she buried beneath her crocodile tears. But now she was tied to the place where this all began. And I wasn't holding a knife. I was holding a camera. She was groggy from the sedative, dizzy days, lips pale, but the fear in her eyes was sharp, raw, real. Alina, she croaked, what are you doing? I crouched beside her, brushed her damp hair behind her ear like I used to when we were little. You remember this place, don't you? I whispered. It's where you lied to me. Where you told me you were sorry. Where you said you didn't mean to sleep with Caleb, that it was just a mistake. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I was scared, she said. He said he'd tell Dad things, that he'd leave you if I didn't. I raised a finger. No, I said softly. Not this time, no more pretending. I pressed the record button. This wasn't about blackmail anymore. This was about truth. She cried harder. Please, Alina, you have to understand. I was jealous. You always had everything Dad's love, the business, Caleb. I was just there. You were my sister, I said, standing slowly. And you burned me to the ground. She said something else I don't remember. Maybe a sob, maybe a curse. But I wasn't listening anymore because I saw it. Smile. Not broad, not wicked. Just a faint little curl at the corner of her lips. Almost invisible, but I saw it. And that's when something inside me snapped. All this time, I thought she was remorseful. All this time I thought maybe guilt had finally found its way to her veins, but no, she enjoyed it. Breaking me. Taking Caleb. Manipulating Dad. She wore grief like a costume. And that night on the dock, her mask slipped just enough to show the monster underneath. I didn't slap her. I didn't scream. Instead, I walked away, left her tied up, camera still rolling, and made a phone call. To Caleb. He didn't answer the first time, but he picked up the second. I know everything, I said. She told me it all. How you threatened her, how you seduced her. There was silence, then a low sigh. I didn't threaten her, he said. It wasn't like that. Oh, I know, I said sweetly. But the cops won't. Alina. He warned, meet me at the lake, I said, in 1 hour. Or I show the board everything. He came, faster than expected. Desperate men always rush into their own traps. He stepped onto the dock, like a soldier entering a battlefield. Hair messy shirt, half-button eyes scanning. Where is she? I stepped out of the shadows. She's watching. He turned and saw Sierra still tied, still crying. He moved toward her but froze when he noticed the camera. What the hell is this? Closure, I said. He turned on me, fury on his face. You're insane, maybe, I smiled, but I'm free. I pulled the second drive from my pocket and held it up. Confessions, affairs, fraud, the emails you thought you deleted. Even the fake investor files I planted? Guess what? Already reviewed by the SEC. You're done. He lunged at me. Big mistake. Sierra screamed, but I sidestepped him easily. He slipped on the edge of the dock, stumbled, and crashed into the shallow. Water below, face first, mud and shame in his mouth. When he looked up at me, soaked and broken, I saw the man I once loved and felt absolutely nothing. Toss the flash drive into the water. Just like you, I said. Useless, dirty, forgotten. Then I turned to Sierra. Don't worry, I said as I began untying her. I'm not a killer. I'm not even cruel. She trembled. So what? Now, I said, you get to live with what you did. I left her there. Let her walk barefoot through the mud with Caleb behind her, both dragging pieces of their ruined love behind them. I returned to the estate, packed my bags, but before I left I made one last stop, Dad's study. I opened his old ledger hidden beneath the floorboard. A list of contacts, partners, friends. He had notes beside everyone's name, and one name caught my eye, Mira Dorn. Caleb's mother. Next to it, blackmail attempt. Sierra involved. Shredded docs. My heart stopped. There was more. There was so much more. This wasn't just a love triangle. This was a generational scheme. And I wasn't done yet. They say the past dies when you bury it deep enough, but that's a lie. Because some roots dig themselves into your bones, and no matter how far you run, the rot follows. I tried to leave the Wren estate behind after Caleb and Sierra's collapse. I tried to move on. But that single note in my father's handwriting. Myra Dorn, blackmail. Sierra involved dragged me right back into the fire. I thought I knew the worst of it. The cheating, the betrayal, the broken trust. But what I uncovered next made all that look like child's play. Turns out, Sierra and Caleb had been nothing but puppets. The true architect of the Wren family's unraveling was Mira Dorn, Caleb's mother, a woman I had only met twice. Polished, calculating, always smiling like she knew something no one else did. My father had sensed it. He'd confronted her once before, I discovered through a letter buried in an old lockbox in the study. Myra threatened the company, he wrote. Said if I didn't back out of the land deal, she'd make sure secrets about Sierra were leaked. I thought it was bluster. But Sierra, she folded fast. That's when it all clicked out. Sierra hadn't seduced Caleb alone. She was pushed, coached, controlled. Mira needed leverage to get control over my father's land, the lakefront acres he refused to sell. She used her son's charm and my sister's weakness to build a scandal that would break him, and it worked. His heart gave out too. Days after learning what they'd done, it wasn't just betrayal, it was murder by manipulation. I didn't cry this time. I didn't even rage, I simply packed one last bag and booked a ticket to Myra's estate in Charleston under a fake name. She wouldn't recognize me, not in the new clothes, the auburn wig, the chilled expression I perfected. I attended one of her charity brunches as a prospective donor. She welcomed me with the same warmth she showed the press, eyes sharp, smile controlled. You look familiar, she said, narrowing her eyes slightly. I get that a lot, I replied, sipping champagne. She didn't see it, didn't see me. That made it easier. After the event, I slipped into her office during a photo session outside. Picked the lock on our desk. Found what I needed in a fireproof drawer, a file labeled Wren Acres, inside copies of the forged contracts, the false witness statements, even a printout of an email she'd sent to Sierra the week before my father died. Push him, make him doubt Alina. If he breaks her engagement, he'll panic. We move then. That was it. Proof. But I didn't send it to the press. Not yet. No. I made copies. Sent one to the SEC, one to the board of my father's company, and one to Sierra. She called me the next day sobbing. How could you? She screamed. You're destroying our name. No, I said. You did that. I'm just taking off the blindfold. Caleb tried to call me too, begged me not to go public, told me his mother would bury me. I laughed. I'm already 6 feet under Caleb. This is me clawing out. 2 days later, Myra Dorn was indicted for financial fraud, conspiracy, and attempted extortion. Her face splashed across headlines. Her son implicated. Sierra's name whispered like a ghost behind every scandal. The Wren name didn't burn. It cleansed. I stood at my father's grave on the final morning before I left Georgia for good. The wind was soft. The magnolias heavy with bloom. I did it, Dad, I whispered. I burned every rotten bridge they built between us. Then I looked toward the estate, our legacy, and I saw the smoke rising, not from fire, but from rebirth. Because now with Myra gone, Sierra exposed, and Caleb shattered, I had everything they tried to take, but I didn't want it anymore. I gave the land to a trust in my father's name dedicated to victims of financial abuse. I sold the company shares. I changed my number. My name. My life. And I never looked back, because revenge doesn't always come with blood. Sometimes it comes with truth. Sometimes the most savage revenge is healing yourself in front of the ones who tried to destroy you. Thanks for staying with me until the end. If you've ever been betrayed by the ones closest to you, know this: you are not weak. You are survivor-strong. Please like, share, and subscribe. This story is written and edited by Life Side Diaries.